Okay, welcome back. Here's a quick summary and overview of an absolutely invaluable and time and money saving document that I've built over the past couple of years, realizing that I was having conversations over and over and over again. This is a cloud-based document. I use Smartsheet, which is an incredible tool for project management. And what you see here are parent-child. This is kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. And so you have parent-child relationship to a long list. As you see, I'm going to close everything. It's grown to over 200 line items. And it goes, I've broken it up into these categories. I'm not going to show interior or range bay or vendor info, just honestly because that's my secret sauce. But I'll show you what it looks like in terms of the exterior. And so as we're working on the budget and the capability of the facility, understand that all of these issues are in my mind somewhere, influencing my guidance and recommendations and feedback and input, and they're having an influence based on my experience over the years of helping give birth to some very successful shooting range brands, many of which have gone on to either open or then done acquisitions to have multiple locations. Only a few have not done that yet. And the last one of my most recent ranges is been open for about a year, and he's actually talking about another location. So here's the way this is set up. This document will be shared among you as the owner-operator, the architectural team, which consists of the architectural firm, and then the architect will engage a design team of subs, meaning just like a GC has subs: plumbing, electrical, mechanical, and structural, masonry, carpentry, millwork. So too, an architect hires a engineering firm that handles the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural. So all of those individuals will be invited to and required, rather, not just invited, but required to join this sheet, which is in fact a checklist, so that if once the electrician is engaged, they've dealt with power for signage, they come in here and check this off. And we know as a team, as they work through it, it's going to be addressed. It will have been addressed in the plans. And so it's set up so that it addresses signage, and it's an electrical issue, or might have a civil, design layout implication, mechanical and hardware. You can see all of the trades, like I said, will know, hey, this is where we zero in. Security would be an issue that's electrical and owner driven, right? So the way it's organized is important so that all of those team members can get through the list in an orderly manner, because the plumber doesn't need to know anything about signage, right? So this is also shared with the GC and his subs so that they see what's coming in the plans. And the ultimate benefit to this is lessons learned from prior deals itemized here so that they're not surprises, and they're addressed in the plans, in the construction documents as they're being compiled by the architect. Getting them, if we provide them with this list up front, then there's no excuse for these items to not be in the plans, which means they're not going to be missed, and the likelihood of change orders is going to drop dramatically. And so having transparency and communicating clearly up front saves time and saves money. I will point out, it's important to understand change orders and their implications. You may have a change order that is either a surprise, or it would be just an unknowable issue, or it might be something that's driven from a poorly designed set of construction documents. They're not fully clear, and that is a reality. Putting what you're going to build on paper does in fact have its limitations. but we can improve them. We want to strive to always improve them as much as possible. So when it comes to building what is seen on paper out in the field, there will be, without exception, on every single project, there are what we call RFIs, requests for information, that the GC will send back to the architect and say, hey, when you drew this detail, what did you actually mean? Or I'm not seeing a certain component of what we typically encounter when we have to build this particular feature. So that's normal. The third type of change order would be, owner driven. And we want to think about and consider all these spaces, all these rooms. We literally, when it comes to the interiors, we go room by room: retail space, gunsmith, classroom, lounge, range bays, etc. All of those are taken into consideration. And the ultimate is, what I mean by reducing change orders is, we reduce the exclusions and exemptions that will be on the general contractor's contract document. They're going to provide, after they've gotten the construction documents, they're going to bid them. They're going to send them to all their trades, all the masons and everybody that's involved, plumbers, etc. And they're going to come back with an itemized list of what the project is going to cost to build. And then down at the bottom, call it the fine print if you want to. It's not really fine print because it should be a key focus. Will be a list of exemptions and exclusions and allowances. Those are items that the GC is either unsure about or didn't have clarity in the plans when they bid them. And our goal ought to be to eliminate that entire list. Is it possible to get it to zero? No. But can we go from a full page of exemptions and exclusions down to a handful? Absolutely. So more clarity up front means more certainty and confidence in the bid documents. And when it comes time during construction, when a change order pops up, you've got to understand you're not just impacted by the cost of the change order item itself. If that change order involves design detail changes, structural, for example, then the architect's going to charge an additional fee hourly for work that's outside the scope of simply producing the construction documents for bidding, for permitting, and so forth. They're going to charge additional fees for dealing with that RFI or dealing with that change order, just because they're not. That's just the way they're structured. They don't do it all inclusive, whatever, come what may. And in part because they've got to guard against, occasionally you run into a GC who has this tactic of, giving a great bid and then they're going to change order the project ad nauseum to make more money because they tack on their fee to every change order item. Now, the other implications on the change order are time. And especially in recent years with all of the, the universal excuse of COVID and supply chain and the time factor for ordering more material. You need another piece of steel. Well, the mill is backed up and we can't get in the queue until X time frame, and then it gets fabricated and then shipped and then on site. And then we got to get a guy who's got a crane who's going to bring it and bring the crane. And you get it. There's a waterfall of implications on timing and the schedule. And so that GC has budgeted within his bid documents his fee, which is the profit that he makes. And he's also got an allotment of time for which his costs to run the business or run the project, operate, are also charged to the project, to the owner. And those are general conditions. A great example is the construction trailer or the dumpster, or you're going to pay directly out of that GC contract for the days, weeks, and months that a job site superintendent is on site. That's separate from his GC fee. It's an addition. This is without exception. So if you have a delay, let's say your project runs an additional month, well, that could be anywhere from, on the low end, $5,000 to, depending on the size of the project, $20,000 for general conditions. They're just not going to make an exception to it. It's just part of doing business. So de-risking the deal in this way is really important. And change orders are not just changes on the for the item that needs to be installed, but it also has an effect through design fees potentially, and then additional time with the GC resulting in additional fees. Not to mention the fact that if you incur a month delay, then that's 30 days of operating the business that didn't happen. It's revenue from those days of operating that will not be realized, cannot be recaptured at all. It's a 0%. You can't gain a portion of it even. So this again has become an invaluable document, and we collaborate in it, around it, through it to improve all of the design documents. Okay, hope that's helpful. Thanks for tuning in.